I got it. We'll have fun.
Good afternoon, Fighting Irish fans. How are ya?
Hey, all right.
My name is Dolly Duffy, and I'm the executive director of your Notre Dame Alumni Association. And that doesn't really matter. What really matters is the guest, the Glenn and Stacy Murphy head men's basketball coach and my buddy Mike Brey.
Hey, good to be with you, Dolly. Man, look at this beautiful afternoon here in the Bend. But this is my pilgrimage every year over here with you and with our fans before a home football game. We just finished practice. We had an open practice. Maybe some of the people got through. We had a nice little crowd, and we've been practicing for about 2 weeks, and we're still undefeated.
Oh.
So we're still undefeated. So this is a good time of year. But it's coming. That tough schedule's coming.
Well, so looking back to last year, kind of came out of COVID, but still not fully in terms of the crowds and everything. But you had a really great season.
We had a fun group,
Yeah.
and our fans were great, and our students were awesome. And, you know, even though I had to run and jump on dining hall tables and do whatever to get them to come, and I'll do that again. Next week, I'm going through 10 dorms at night to talk us up, starting on Monday night. But you're right. We were 14-1 at home. We kind of found ourselves. We learned how to win. We were a neat story in the NCAA tournament, winning on St. Patrick's Day. And, you know, I made that comment about Irish whiskey, and everyone has sent me bottles of Irish whiskey this
So
offseason.
what's your favorite?
You know, I got some from Collin Falls, who works with, he married into the O'Shaughnessy family. They have a whiskey, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was pretty good. But I'm getting bottles sent to me left and right after that comment after the game, and but it was neat. And we have, get this, I was just telling our people at open practice, 12 scholarship players, 6 are in graduate school. That's how old we are, and it's really, really neat. 5 of the 6 are in our main rotation, so they know how to play. They've learned how to win. We've got a neat freshman class. We're going over to Chicago tomorrow night. We're going to wake up and scrimmage DePaul in Chicago tomorrow, Sunday. And November 2nd, we have an exhibition game, and here we go. So I'm excited because this group learned how to win in the NCAA tournament, and now come back with bigger dreams. And it's great leadership. It's been cool to be around.
Well, and you like an older team, right?
Yeah, I think, you know, I was the one who coined the phrase, get old and stay old with your roster. And of course, Nate Lashevsky and Dane Goodwin, as we started them as freshmen, and we bled. That group finished 15th out of 15 teams as freshmen. So to see Nate and Dane grow, get better, learn how to win, and now come back for 5th year, they have set a great tone for us.
So you said 5 are in their 6th year of eligibility. Is that right?
We've got 6 fifth-year guys.
Wow.
And you know, 5 that will play major minutes for us. They're 5 years, and they're all 5 or 1,000-point scorers in their career. They've played a lot of basketball, and they know how we play. You know, they really kind of run themselves. There's great leadership, and they dream big, and I'm excited to watch us Sunday against somebody else, because we've been beating each other up through the summer and through the fall. You play each other. That gets a little old. So let's go see what we look like against DePaul on Sunday afternoon.
So, but let's flip it then. You've got some really good young talent. Tell us about those first years.
We do. You know what's helped us move along? Our freshman class is really mature. Dom Campbell is a big guy from the beautiful state of Maine who is getting in great shape, really had a great practice this afternoon. Van Allen Lubin is a young big from Orlando, Florida, who will start on Sunday as a freshman, 6'8", about 230. And then J.J. Starling, the really gifted guard from Lullamere, right down the road, he'll start for us too. We'll start 3 fifth-year seniors and 2 freshmen on Sunday. But they're gifted, they're talented, but they've handled their business academically, their weightlifting, their training. They've handled it more like upperclassmen, and I think it's helped us move along. And I think those older guys have really helped them, and they know we need them. And so a Nate and a Dane and a Cormac Ryan and a Trey Wirtz really help those guys grow up quicker.
And those three were top 100 recruits, right?
They are,
you got three of them.
Yeah, we got three. It's a really gifted freshman class. It really is, and they're physically gifted. They're doing a heck of a job academically. You know, I told him the other day, I said, you know, I have not, Pat Holmes Sr. is our academic advisor. I said, I have not had a call from Pat Holmes on any of you guys since you've been here. That's quite a statement. Sometimes freshmen just fumble. They fumble some things, right? They can all be knuckleheads at times, right? I mean, it's all part of, and this place is hard, as we know. And they have just handled their business like men, and we've been able to coach them. And so, yes, it's really a gifted group, and I'm excited this year, but then to watch them grow up through our program.
It's a nice way to, I know it's not the first year out. We got to stop talking about COVID, but it's a really nice way to land fully outside of what you went through.
And you're right. I mean, we had a tough year, the COVID year. You know, we were searching, and to come back and bounce back. And we had some great stories. Certainly Blake Wesley is a local kid from Riley High School who had a fabulous year and was the 26th pick of the draft, and business says, you got to go. And he did. And he's there with the Spurs. Prentice Hub did a great job for us as a senior guard. And Paul Atkinson was a grad transfer who came to us from Yale and gave us a great year as our center. We have another grad transfer this year, Marcus Hammond from Niagara, who he may be our best guard through 2 weeks of practice. And that's saying a lot because we have a lot of veteran guards back. So I think people will really like him. New York City kid, left-handed, quick, makes plays. So, again, Sunday, I'm looking forward to putting the uniforms on. You can't sell tickets. These scrimmages are like closed. But at least we'll play somebody else. We'll all sit on the same bench, and we'll see what it feels like to substitute and get up and down.
So just back to Blake for a minute.
Yes.
So you knew he was going to be good. Was he better than you thought he was going to be? I mean, did you ever dream he'd be 26th?
No, better than I thought. And here's what, he was a product of the pandemic in that no one really got to see him play the summer before his senior year because all the events were canceled. Now, that didn't necessarily hurt us in recruiting because I kept him hidden in South Bend. Nobody else could see him. But he could not visit officially. And we signed him in November. Certainly it had been on our campus pre-COVID. We signed him. I could not go to a Riley High School game. So I would see WNDU Friday night highlights, and they go, well, here's Blake Wesley. And I'd like, God, I didn't know he could do that. I hadn't seen him in a year. And then we get him in practice in June. COVID clears up, and after 2 practices, you go, oh, boy, he's really gifted. And, you know, you could say, should he stay another year? The opportunity to strike and earn at that level, it's fragile. And he really was going to be a first-round guy, and that's where you got to say, hey, we support you. Go do it. And he's out there, you know, representing us with the San Antonio Spurs.
And the goal is always to get those young men back here, right? And get their degree.
Yes, and you know, Jerome Bettis was a great example this year, and I actually talked to his mother and father about that, Blake's mother and father. I said, look, you may not graduate in the next 7-10 years because your window to strike as an athlete like Jerome is there, and you got to really concentrate on that. But eventually you'll be back, and we'll have a plan for him when he's more focused and ready to do that.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit about looking back even further than COVID. We're going to have a new person in the Ring of Honor, right?
Yes.
John Shoemate, class of 74.
John Shoemate will go up December 11th. We play Marquette. It's a Sunday afternoon game here. John Shoemate is so deserving. Not only was he a great player for us, he was on our coaching staff. He recruited LaFonso Ellis and many others. LaFonso went up last year. So John is really an easy decision. And it's going to be neat because that group of guys that snapped UCLA's streak will be back in the gym that day, and hopefully we're 11-0 in Ring of Honor games. So I need John's karma against Marquette too. We need to go 12-0 when we put somebody up. But John's with the Phoenix Suns, certainly a class act and nothing but a gentleman and a true Notre Dame man.
So who was coaching the Irish during that snap? Just kidding.
Oh yes, that was Coach Phelps, Coach Digger Phelps, and
his favorite story to tell.
Yes, he loved. He will tell that story. And I stopped by 4th of July this past year. I always surprise Coach on his birthday, bring a bottle of champagne. He was 81, and he's hanging in there and doing his thing and giving me advice anytime he can. I love him.
Whether you need it or not.
Whether I need it or not, correct.
So, what's the thing when you're looking into the season that gives you the most pause for concern?
We have, with this particular group, they are so serious about wanting to win and get back to the tournament and play deeper. And it's all great stuff, but I don't want them uptight and anxious about doing it or hanging their head or tying themselves. It's my job to keep them loose as we chase this thing and enjoy the journey. It's an amazingly tough journey with our schedule. 20 ACC games, Marquette, Michigan State, Georgia, in the non-league. So, I think with this particular group and with the old teams that I've had, they have ownership of themselves. They understand how we play. It's not like they know when they make mistakes. Sometimes they're just too hard on themselves. I want them to get on to the next play. And I tell them to smile a little bit out there.
Yeah, so we don't get to see you at practice. When you feel like they're getting uptight, what's the Mike Brey remedy?
I may bring them in and during a game, especially when we're uptight, if we don't, fellas, it's a long game. Would you relax? Relax a little bit. We're good. Now, inside, I may going, we may not be good, but I can fake it with the best of them. Just say, relax, we're okay. And so I think there's going to be more of that with this team than, hey, we got to play harder and you weren't tough enough and you guys got to be tough. They know. They know when they've made a mistake and so it's a little bit more of nurturing that leadership. I have a big three, and you talk about basketball teams, the Celtics had a big three, the Lakers, big three. My big three are Cormac Ryan, Nate Laszewski, Dane Goodwin. Fifth-year guys. They played a lot for us. We go to dinner once a night, and I kind of listen. I want to hear, what do you think? What do you think? And their feedback because they've seen it all in our program. But they do play the right way and move the ball and share it and care about each other. It's neat to be around them.
So with that level of seniority and the freshmen, they'll take care of making sure they stay loose, won't they?
I think they will. We've got, Goodwin, Ryan, and actually Ryan has the best sense of humor of them, and he's pretty good at saying some stuff in the locker room to cut the tension a little bit. And then there's pregame talks where I may need to cut the tension a little bit, so we're so anxious about going over to play Sunday. This is going to be interesting because they want to go, and remember, it's a 40-minute game. One of the phrases I use, don't fight the game. Play, let the game come to you. Don't fight it. Don't get all uptight. And that will be my challenge.
That's great. Well, I'm going to bet we have some questions out here.
Yes.
Right over here.
How's the player doing with the eye poke?
Yes, you were there today. Van Allen Lubin left practice. I thought he got elbowed and it was a cut, but he got poked in the eye. We've taken him. I haven't heard feedback, but I don't think we feel we have a real serious issue here. Probably is going to need some eye drops and some things, and we feel he'll be ready to play on Sunday because he's going to start. He's a really good player, and you saw him today. Physically, he's really gifted. He's been our leading rebounder through 15 practices, but what happens sometimes in traffic, somebody just... Oh, never got put. Well, he must not have been in rebounding. He didn't put his nose in there. He was 6'10" and never got poked.
And we're from Elizabeth, New Jersey, home of.
John Shoemate, yes, Elizabeth, New Jersey has been very good to Notre Dame basketball through Gary Brokaw, Troy Murphy, Steve Astoria, Matt Farrell, and that's just to name a few. Jersey's been real good to our basketball program.
What do you got? Like, what advice do you got for like a young basketball player?
And you look like a young basketball player. What grade are you in?
Fourth?
Fourth grade. And are you playing basketball?
Yeah.
Are you a big man on your team? Because you look pretty tall for fourth grade.
I play center.
You're the center, okay? Well, rebound. Make sure you get every rebound. But you know, as a young player, if you got to have the ball in your hands a lot. At night, has your mom yelled at you about dribbling around the house? Because that's a good sign. I tell kids at our camp, if your mom has yelled at you about dribbling in the house, that means you want to be a player. You got the ball in your hand, you're always working on it, so be great with the ball. But right now, in your position, get every missed shot.
Got it.
Yeah, I love it.
That's great. That's fun.
My question is, how do you become a coach?
It's a good one. You know, I think young guys that want to get into coaching, college coaching, I tell them to work as many college basketball camps as they can. Now, COVID has really crushed the summer basketball camp setting. We will come back online this June and August 23 with camp. But, you know, you get to know the assistants at these places, like my staff. They're going to be head coaches soon. And a lot of times guys have been hired from that. I grew up the son of two teachers and coaches. My parents were educators, so I was around it all the time. I guess in a way, it's part of the family business. And but it's amazingly rewarding. You know, that young people will forget their teachers, but they'll never forget their coach. And I always try and remember that. I've had 65 guys now, Dolly, that have come through in 22 seasons and are out there in the world, some playing, some in business, some in medicine. And those are like 65 sons out there. And it's really neat now when we have reunions and they come back. And I'm like, now, did you play with him? No, you guys played 1 year together, right? It all runs together for me. But it's amazingly rewarding when they come back, and I want them to have we want to win, we want to do all that, but God, I want them to have a good experience. And they have such big dreams. Some aren't realistic, right? They may, you know, we got guys that think they're going to be NBA players. They're not. Well, I got to help them with that. And, you know, that's sometimes can be a chore.
I always remember the photo. You could feel the synergy and the love on the team when you all went to Rex Pfluger's mom's funeral.
Yeah.
And we're so present for him.
Yeah, God, Rex is doing so well in L.A. now. He came back from playing in England and is in the financial world doing great. But his mom just tragically, with such energy and spirit, the brain tumor, and within 6 months she passed. And we were all out there for him, and it meant a lot to our team. And it's been interesting. You know, I've had other players' parents, you know, go through stuff. So, you know, I'm their parent through that. They come and want to talk, and they're struggling, and, you know, that's a big role for me, maybe more so than talking to them about how to shoot a free throw.
That's great. Any more questions? Got one back here.
Yeah, we got one, yeah. Where's the pep rally tonight?
I don't think they're having one.
No pep rally. You want to have one? Let's just throw one together.
Here, I'll get on your shoulders.
I love it. I love it.
Coach, you talked about your 65 kids. One of them was embodied what Notre Dame's all about, is Zach August. How's he doing?
Zach August is doing great. He's playing overseas. 2 young children now. He was able to get the Greek passport. His mother is Greek. So when you don't count as an American on a European team and you count as a Greek or Rex Pfluger, by way of his mom, got a British pass. And so if you're able to get that that passport, that gives you even more markability. He is member of the Greek national team, and he did a great job for us. But it didn't happen right away. He had growing pains, and there were days, there were days he was a knucklehead, and we had to, get after him. And he grew. He graduated from here, and he had 2 great years his junior and senior year. But he'll play for a long time in Europe.
Hi, Coach.
How you doing?
So I was a student manager with the women's side when I was a student here. I graduated in 2017. And I was wondering if you could speak to, with Coach Ivy coming on board
Yep.
and just that relationship you have with the women's program. And I remember walking by your practices, and it seems like there's a good camaraderie.
We are joined at the hip with the women's program, and maybe even more so now because we're in our new practice facility, Rolfs, which is just state of the art. And we're kind of isolated a little bit over there. All we really have is each other. Certainly Muffet and her program were great inspiration to us, and got to know her, and her and I are still very close, and we would talk each other off the ledge after tough losses. And you know what? Niele and I have rotated into that same thing, and I hope I can be a resource for Niele. She is a young coach and learning it, and I was so proud of her last year and year 2 to go to the Sweet 16 and get their thing going. But we're in the training room together, we're in the weight room together. You're really almost one program because you'd spend so much time in the same facility.
Any more questions?
I see one of our walk-ons.
I see
over
one
there,
right here.
Greg Boswell.
Where?
Greg Boswell, one of our walk-ons right there.
Hey, Greg.
One of our former walk-ons.
Woohoo! Let's give it up for Greg.
Greg, you hit the shot against Purdue, right? All right, great story. Gene Katie's story. And I got to put him on the spot. We're so proud of him.
Come on up here. Say hello
come
to
on
everyone.
up. So anyways, Greg's a walk-on for us and a hell of a player, really good guard. And we're playing Purdue here in the NIT on St. Patrick's Day, I believe. It was St. Patrick's Day. And he's in the game because we're up and we're going to win. And it's Coach Gene Katie's last game. This is his last year. And if they lose, the season ends. And I'm going down to shake his hand, and it's 5-4. And we throw the ball in. Purdue scores. And I'm like, don't shoot it, right? I mean, let's just let the clock run. He launches one from. He wanted to be 0 for 1. So he launches one, and there he is there, and I'm going to shake Gene Katie's hand, and we've already beat him, and it's his last game, and I really respect Coach. He's a Hall of Famer, and it's in the air, and I'm going, oh, my God, that's going to go in. The crowd's, and it goes in. And it's like insulted to injury. I'm like, Coach, I'm sorry about that. That's all right, Mike. But he is famous for that, and was a great part of our program.
I think we've got one right here.
Yes.
Coach Brey, are you the longest tenured head coach at Notre Dame in basketball?
Well, in basketball, yeah, Digger went 20, and this is 23 for me. And so, yes, we've thank you. Muffet went 20. Did Muffet go 28, 29? Kevin Corrigan's been here, but Coach Phelps went 20, and so I've outlasted him. 6 football coaches. I knew they'd
Is that
get a
right?
laugh. Marcus is my 6 football coach. Yeah, I know them all.
That's pretty impressive.
Hey, Coach, as an IU guy, I have no problem with anybody pouring it on Purdue, quite frankly.
Yeah. I love it.
But, Coach, growing up, was there a college player that you really was, the guy that you always watched? And
Well, when I was young, I loved Phil Ford, the guard at North Carolina back in the day, who ran Dean Smith's 4 corners. I used to go in my backyard and make believe I was Phil Ford after watching a North Carolina game, because where I grew up in Maryland, that was the ACC country. So it's very unusual. I never would have thought from the University of Notre Dame, I'd be competing in the Atlantic Coast Conference. And that's been strange, but then really cool too, because I grew up a Maryland basketball fan, Lefty Driesell, but Phil Ford was, those ACC teams, Maryland, North Carolina State with David Thompson. Actually, if you haven't watched it already, they did a documentary on the ACC that was on the ACC network. You probably can pull it up. And episode 10 is about our 2015 ACC championship. So, in year 2, we won the ACC championship. They were really pissed on Tobacco Road, that we rolled in there and won it in Greensboro. So anytime we can win on Tobacco Road, it's a good one to get those guys.
So just want to end on this note. For many years, I had the privilege of traveling with you guys at least once a year, and then COVID hit. And I was telling Coach how much I miss it because he's so welcoming and so kind. It's such a great group of young men. So,
well, we've got you back on a road. Look at our schedule. Get back with us, Dolly. You're right. COVID screwed all that up, but we got great. I mean, through the years, one of the reasons I've loved coaching here and been honored to be the coach here and not interested in coaching anywhere else is the kind of young men we get. We just get great guys. Jay Billis said it best a couple years ago. He said, your guys, you can have a beer with them after they graduate. And I have. And they're awesome. So we look, actually you came, Clemson was the last game you came, and we got the W on the road. So you're coming back.
Guess that's a good sign. Well, thanks on behalf of all of us. Thanks for always coming, always saying yes to not only this, but so many other things at Notre Dame. Give it up for Coach Brey.
Come see us. Go Irish.